Welcome back to the TwinSpires Racing Roundtable. I'm Ashley Anderson, joined by James Scully and Vance Hansen to talk about the recent Kentucky Derby and Oaks preps at Churchill Downs and other notable performances over the Thanksgiving week. James, Vance, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving break, and I hear it's someone's birthday today. Vance, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. One
Yes,
day older. Not sure if I'm wiser, but we'll find out.
yes.
He's-
Happy birthday, Vance. Had a good holidays. Thanks, Ashley. Hello.
All right, well, let's talk about the Kentucky Jockey Club, a road to the Kentucky Derby prep race that happened at Churchill over the weekend. And James, I'll let you start because you tabbed Honor Marie and the TwinSpires jury at 8-1. He came out and won in his stakes debut. What were your takeaways from that race?
I came away encouraged by Honor Marie's performance. I thought he improved significantly, stretching out to 2 turns, which I was really expecting him to do, given his breeding. And he was an off-the-pace runner who I thought was a bit of a grinder in a pair of sprint efforts. But what really caught my eye was the Kentucky Jockey Club was a turn of foot he showed. He's about 3.5 lengths back at 7th on the far turn after 3/4 of a mile. And by the top of the stretch, he's like in front by a half length. So he showed a much more dynamic turn of foot. He won, I thought, pretty convincingly. And I had told part of the reason why I liked Honor Marie was because I thought the 4 runners with stakes experience had all been exposed in the Kentucky Jockey Club. I thought it flattered him that the top 3 finishers were all exiting maidens and allowance races, and he came home fast. I mean, really pretty solid finish. 6 for a long time in 1:13.4. He finished his final 5/16 of a mile in nearly more than a second and a half faster than Intricate, who won the Goldenrod as stake 1 race earlier. He got a 96 Brisnet speed rating, easily a career best, a 102 late pace number. And while Honor Code hasn't been known, I think Honor Code's going to be a solid 2-turn sire. But what really benefits Honor Marie for longer distances is this female family. His dam was stakes place, never raced in a sprint, and she's a half sister to Rule Law, who finished third in the 1.5 English Derby and won the 1.75 grade Group 1 St. Ledger. So I see Honor Marie as a very promising prospect for Whit Beckman, who saddled his first stakes winner, and I liked his effort in the Kentucky Jockey Club, Vance.
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of the points that you made. I thought the top 2 finishers in the Jockey Club entered the race with some class questions surrounding them. Honor Marie had broken his maiden in one of those maiden auction races, and then Real Men Violin needed 5 starts to break his maiden. So, and their performances showed how quickly some 2-year-olds can come to hand and progress. And of course, you did bring up the kind of the modest pace of the Jockey Club and the fact that he was able to close into that very successfully from the tail of the field. I thought that in itself was very impressive. And the longer distances of the preps at Fairgrounds, a 1.125 in the Risen Star, 1.316 of the Louisiana Derby, I think are going to really suit this horse this coming winter. I'm encouraged by him as a solid Derby prospect heading into the winter, Ashley.
Yeah, you all covered a lot. I was going to echo what James said, and you brought it up in the jury that you had your doubts about the stakes experienced runners. They all failed to finish on the money, and the 3rd place finisher Stretch Ride was unbeaten from 2 starts, but hadn't raced in the stakes either, came out and finished 3rd. I am curious with the pedigree of Honor Marie. Keeler Johnson covered this earlier in the week on TwinSpires Edge and mentioned that Honor Marie has a lot of stamina, but not necessarily a lot of speed in his pedigree, and thinks maybe the 1.5 mile Belmont may be better suited. Do you all agree? Do you think longer distances, maybe the Derby is too short for this horse? What do you think, James?
Well, I think that's a fair point because, it's generally recognized a little bit of speed and stamina in the pedigree can be a good thing for the Derby. But you also have to realize that this is a race that, especially the last 2 years, has just had a ridiculously wicked pace that is set up completely for late runners. So that's not always going to be the situation. Some years, though, the pace figures to be more moderate, but I think Anna Marie, the real key at this time of year, and Vance sort of touched on it, it's all about moving forward. These 2-year-olds going into the 3-year-old season have to keep advancing. And I think he has the opportunity to do so, Ashley.
All right, well, you brought up the goldenrod a little bit already with Intricate. And tell me, Vance, do you think Intricate is a strong Kentucky Oaks prospect after that win in the goldenrod?
Absolutely. Although she kind of benefited from an ideal trip tracking in behind a solid tempo set by West Sunset, who had actually beaten her sprinting first time out. I thought Intricate looked very assured, winning the goldenrod, very comfortably. Didn't need much encouragement from Tyler Gaffleon once she made the lead, and he may have given her a light encouragement once, and then it was just a stroll to the wire. And she's 2 for 2 now, over a mile and a 16th, and longer distances to me seem like they're going to hit her right between the eyes. And she's trained by Brendan Walsh, who won the Oaks this year with Pretty Mischievous, who actually ran third in the goldenrod last year. So I think it's encouraging that Intricate is already farther along than Pretty Mischievous was at this time a year ago. And I guess she'll be pursuing the same preps for the Oaks that Pretty Mischievous did down at Fairgrounds in New Orleans. And she looks like the filly to beat in those races, James.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one thing about the goldenrod was Intricate was facing some nice rivals in there. Torpedo Anna, that was the odds-on favorite and finished second, was coming off a pair of like dominant wins that were impressive, even time-wise. So I thought that I thought, like Vance said, I thought she was impressive and just getting going. She had just broke her maiden the race before, didn't show a lot at a sprint, has run so well in a pair of mile and a 16th races, and shapes up well for her 3-year-old season. She's by gun runner as well, so longer distances will be no concern in my mind, Ashley.
Yeah, I agree. I think she looks like the filly to watch along the Oaks Trail. And you mentioned, Vance, that Brendan Walsh is her trainer and won the Oaks last year. Tyler Gaffleon also was the jockey aboard Pretty Mischievous last year and the jockey for Intricate. So great pairing there. And I also wanted to note that her Brisnet speed figure improved to a 92 after getting an 82 last race, and also had a 96 and a 99 E1 and E2 early. What do you call them, James? E1 and E2. I guess there's no real designation for the 1 and the 2, but yeah, the early pace numbers. So looked really good coming off this race, and certainly going to keep an eye on her going forward. Well, is there anything else that caught your eye this holiday weekend, James?
Well, I'll mention a couple of other 2-year-old maiden winners. Talked a lot about on the roundtable, like 2-year-olds catch your eye and maiden wins. I'll start on Friday at Aqueduct. A colt by Kerwin named Otello debuted for Christophe Coman at a tricky 1 mile turn, at a 1 turn mile distance. And this colt won narrowly, but his the race, his performance was much more impressive than it was it looks on paper. Basically, Otello broke alertly, dropped back off the pace, launched his move entering the far turn, and was bottled up from the conclusion of the far turn to upper stretch. He had to muscle his way, and I suggest anybody go watch that replay. He tried to go outside, had to bounce back inside, and then surged to take a clear lead. I thought he might not have known what he was doing a little bit, and the runner-up came back and made it close at the wire, but he was never going by Otello. That's a very encouraging performance for this Kerwin colt to build upon for Christophe Coman. And then on Saturday at Churchill Downs, Legal Eyes made a second start for Cherie DeVoe, Constitution colt, and showed really good speed, got a good number, 98. Did set a very solid pace and got a little bit weary late, but he's bred to run longer. He's out of a mare by Unbridled Song, and his second maternal dam, Summerly, won the 2005 Kentucky Oaks. So I'll mention Legal Eyes as well. Vance, what caught your eye? What else caught your eye?
Well, Brad Cox looks like he's got a potential star in the female sprint division for next year. Howell, the 3-year-old filly, just making her second career start at Laurel on Saturday in the Safely Kept Stakes, successfully stretched out to 7 furlongs, won by only a length margin. She was 2-5 in that race against some suspect competition, and she only won by a length, but it looked like she was doing it a lot easier than that. She didn't continue to show a little greenness late when she kind of lugged in towards the inside, but I'm still very encouraged by that performance. She had won very impressively on debut at Keeneland in late October, and now Cox, I think, mentioned before the Safely Kept that Howell could reappear in the La Brea Stakes at Santa Anita on their opening day card the day after Christmas. So she could go from unraced maiden in late October to Grade 1 winner in the span of 2 months. We'll find out later in December if she shows up at Santa Anita. But I'm encouraged by Howell now that the female sprint division has kind of lost a star, maybe two for next year. We'll find out, but she does look like a potential star in the making. And whether it will be at Santa Anita where she shows her true colors, or maybe in some races at Oaklawn Park in the wintertime. I know they have a good female sprint stakes program down there. We'll just find out. But Howell's a filly to keep an eye on over the next few months, Ashley.
And Brad Cox has trained a champion female sprinter in Kafefi, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I wanted to mention the maiden winner, Track Phantom. He broke his maiden in his third start and won by more than 4 lengths in a 1 1/16 mile maiden special weight at Churchill on November 25th, the same day as those Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby prep races. He was third to stakes place Stronghold on debut in a 1 mile maiden special weight. Then his second start finished second by half a length to Real Men Violin, who of course was the runner-up in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And then this time out, beat 11 rivals in this 1 1/16 mile maiden special weight race. As the favorite, he's by Quality Road out of Into Mischief Mare Miss Sunset, a graded stakes sprinter. So has that speed and the stamina in the pedigree. And the interesting thing was his final time of 1:44.72 was just barely off the finishing time of Honor Marie. So certainly think that Track Phantom is one to keep an eye on, as well as a 2-year-old potentially along the road to Kentucky Derby. We'll see what happens. And he got a 93 Bristnet speed figure. So again, just a little bit shy of what we saw from Honor Marie on the same day at Churchill as well. What do y'all
I definitely liked his effort. He ran well, stretching out 2 turns, and I saw you were going to mention him, so I left him out of my hero watch.
Well, I appreciate it, James. It's giving me something to talk about still. All right, well, that's all the time we have today for the Racing Roundtable. Vance, I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday today, and we'll be back next Tuesday with more recaps. And of course, on Thursday, our best bets and fades with the TwinSpires jury. We'll see you then.